Hello, I'm Joni Doe. This is
EJ.
and
EJ works.
yeah, that's better. um, so we were gonna talk a little bit about AuthorTube and just writing stuff, and then we'll give our updates to our stories because if we just did the updates, it'd be very short. I noticed a lot of the AuthorTubers or nanoers, um, they do daily vlogs or they record themselves daily, and then at the end of the week they put the compilations together for like just one weekly video updating throughout. And like I just don't have time to do that because if I'm writing, I usually have a toddler sitting beside me while I'm writing. I'm not gonna record a video before I write or after I write because that's just too distracting.
Yeah, I saw some vlogs where it was like the first day, and so I got, okay, it's the first day,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
hoping to get a good start, and so they recorded themselves at the start of the day, and when they were getting ready to sit down to write, and then again when they were done writing and they were getting ready to go to work, and then in the evening when they came back. And I thought that was cool, but to try and do that every single day, I would feel like that would just be too much work for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's distracting. It's trying to get the motivation to write is hard enough without worrying about recording myself on a regular basis.
It's kind of cool, some of the videos, and there's
Right,
some of them
some of
like
the
I
videos
really
are
enjoyed
good.
like watching like the optimism at the beginning of the week and then the crash.
The soul crushing
And
downer.
then like there was one person that I really liked his video though. Like by day 6 or 7, he was like, I don't even want to write. I want to play a video game. I want to watch a movie. I want to do anything but write right now. But he did push through, and he ended
Pretty
up
much been me all month.
he ended up writing like 3,000 words that day.
3,000 in one day.
Yeah,
How many hours?
I don't know.
Okay.
At least 2 or 3 hours, I think. At least.
I was really disappointed. I'm going to go ahead and go into my word count, even though we said we were going to do that later.
Okay, go ahead.
Just because I was trying to think about how much I had been able to write when I was at the height of my writing.
Mhm.
I was thinking I could do about 5 pages in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
And that wouldn't be so bad. And I'm talking about handwritten, just regular notebook paper. And so I thought, okay, I'll start off trying to do at least 3 pages. So, I mean, that's front and back is 2 pages, and so 3 sides of paper.
Mhm.
In 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break, do another 3, take and so my goal was, okay, in an hour, I have 3 sessions of write time and 3 breaks. And so I would be able to do at least 9 pages. And what I discovered was in an hour, I only got done 3 pages.
Without any breaks.
I did take some breaks.
Okay.
I forfeited one of the breaks, though, because I was finally kind of in a row, and I didn't want to interrupt that. But it was still frustrating because I wasn't really liking what I was writing. And I was getting frustrated with the lack of being able to get as many pages done in the 15-minute sessions as I wanted, because I thought, okay, if I could start small with 15, I could build up to 25 minutes, get more pages done,
Mhm.
and then do 30 minutes and get even more pages done. And so I had spent way too much time running numbers and trying to figure out some kind of system that would work, and I would get caught up, and maybe I wouldn't necessarily get the 50,000 words in the month, but I could at least get 30,000, which is still behind what I originally wanted to do, because my minimum at the start, I really wanted at least 40,000 because I was wanting to do a rough draft. But yeah, it's not going to happen, and I'm not that into the story right now. I still like the story, I like the characters, but I'm not that into it right now. So I think right now I have a total of 500 to 700 words, somewhere in there. So that's my, yeah. And I stopped watching a lot of the vloggers the last couple of week and a half, because it was just a reminder of what I wasn't doing. So it was like, I would rather just watch, a drama or some TV show and be like, hey, some writer worked really hard to create this show and collaborate with a bunch of actors, and so I will applaud that writer and enjoy the show. That was my attitude this week.
Lazy making excuses. So I didn't have a great week. I still took some 0 days, which I was a little disappointed on, because there were some days that I probably could have squeezed in a few words in, but I actually did pretty good this week overall compared to earlier in this month.
Mm-hmm.
So most of what I got done is actually yesterday. I finally actually did more than 3,000 words in a day, which is like, yay, finally, because I'm so far behind. I need to start doing about 3,000 to 5,000 in a day.
But you were talking about Twitter, because you were following some people and getting on Twitter, and I don't really do Twitter. I basically only got a Twitter account so I could follow Mark Hamill and Ryan Johnson.
Not trolling. I mean,
not
just
trolling.
Like legit, she wants to follow them because she likes them.
And I forget to actually get on there to actually read their updates, but I'm subscribed, or whatever it's called.
Following.
Following. Okay. Following, but not really. So I don't really do Twitter and some of the social media where a lot of authors do post some things.
Yeah. So I found like a lot of, if you're actually wanting to get into the developing relationships and stuff, that happens, it seems, more on Twitter or Instagram than it does
the two
on
forms
YouTube.
of social media I do not use. I
had an Instagram account that I shared with my cat, and I think it was called Joey and Tigger. But it was, I had it logged on to my old tablet, and when my tablet broke, I lost access to that account.
And I bet the cat's very upset.
Yeah, because she's such a diva. She really liked her Instagram, snapping pictures and posting. But anyway, on Twitter, one of the accounts, it's not page account, whatever you call it, is like not an editor, talent agent or representative, something like that, and they've been posting some interesting like questions and stuff. And so one of them, and I found it really, really difficult. It took me half a day to figure out how to answer the question, and it was just find a single word that best describes the story you're working on for NaNoWriMo. And like I kept thinking of like 2 words put together, or like I kept thinking of like genre, and things that I'd already used on a previous YouTube video.
So did you finally settle on epic?
No.
What did you?
Loss. I finally figured out that the one thing that truly described the story is loss. The loss of hope. One of my primary characters has lost her memories because she has amnesia. The story starts off with Prince Sheen has died, so people who
impacted by the loss.
Yeah, they're impacted by that loss, both the political and then his own sister is one of the primary supporting characters. And so that loss of one of the only people you're close to. And then primary character Tierto, I don't think it's spoiler because it happens in chapter 5.
He loses somebody important.
Yeah, so he loses somebody important to him too. I think maybe that's an interesting question too, is like, when you're talking about something, how far into the story is it when it becomes spoilery?
I think for mine, the concept that like started it would have been mentorship, but if looking at the story as it is right now and how I think of it and the characters, it would be more like learning.
Okay.
So it's not really the process of teaching somebody else, but it's
Just-
how people learn,
Mhm.
whether it's an actual skill or just growth as a person.
So maybe growth
So
would also
development. I think development is the word I would pick.
be. Yeah.
And kind of like
And also, the society ends up kind of developing a bit with these characters too. So that's a good word to use for the world as well as the interpersonal or individual.
I wouldn't go there.
No? Oh, okay.
I mean, our understanding of the world changes, and they
Well,
have
yeah,
an
but-
impact on their world. But I would say, I think I still want to go back to learning, because I think it's important for people to know how to learn,
Right.
and that is kind of more the focus of the two main characters, is because I have two protagonists, and they each have their own story, and at the heart of each of the stories is learning how to learn.
Yeah.
So learning. There we go.
So learning.
I hate exercises like that where you have to pick just one word.
Yeah. It's actually hard, and sometimes it feels a little reductive. And so at one point I thought, no, I'm not even going to bother thinking about this question anymore. But then when it hit on me, the word, I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of... It put the story into another perspective in my mind when I found that right word.
Well, see, I was really like gung ho. I was sick, not feeling good, but I was trying to like get the wheels going the first 2 days of November, where all my enthusiasm went, and
to die.
I got onto a forum where there's a lot of writers, some artists and stuff, and I had asked, wanting to see if I could find some beta readers, so when November was over, I would have some people that would be ready to read the story and give me some feedback on where I was at, and like throughout December, so I could work on developing and editing and stuff in December. And the first person to respond wanted me to summarize the story in 10 words or less. And the first sentence I wrote was 11 words. And I was like, go ahead. I was really struggling with, like, trying to have, like, focusing on a word count, distracted from being able to summarize. And so, I went ahead and I was like, just go ahead, write one sentence, and then I'll trim it down. And it took me a while to finally get a sentence, and I finally did get a sentence of 9 words. I reworked and tweaked some stuff, and it wasn't just a matter of using fewer small words, but it was like
a couple of bigger, impactful words.
Yeah, and I can't even remember what my sentence was right now. I'd have to get back on the forum and look, but I really wasn't satisfied with that sentence because I didn't really it was something about the things people do to improve their life, great or small, like something along those lines. Or maybe that was the original sentence. So whether in small ways or in large, impactful ways, the things that people will do to try and just improve life.
The links people will go to.
And, well, it was important. I don't know, sometimes I feel like these kind of exercises are good in one way and they're just not satisfying in another way, because I want to talk about the name of the characters and where they come from and all. And it's like, I get the point of the exercise is to focus on what's important.
Just so that the person knows whether this is something they actually want to ask more about.
It still kind of frustrates me. So it's like, here's your sentence you asked for. And then I followed it up with a whole paragraph of trying to, what I felt like was really important to
encapsulate it.
Introduce the world that these characters are in. That it is post-apocalyptic and not just, oh, people are trying to improve their lives and you get an image of modern day.
Right.
Because, in that first sentence I had, you had no setting. You had no time frame.
Right. Or location.
So, the expanded paragraph explanation set up that there's two stories really, and that they're going to interweave, and it set up the setting.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear back from that person?
No, not yet. Not yet. I should get on the forum and check today.
So you could have heard back and not
there,
know.
There could be a response, but I am not aware of it.
So you should do that, and we can maybe talk about that in the next video. Maybe.
I don't know. So, I guess your question was how people are summarizing their current projects?
Yeah.
I mean, do you like the 1 word, 10 words, nothing like that at all? I struggle with it. I shouldn't say I dislike it. I dislike being forced into the exercise.
But you're not forced. I mean, it basically the exercise in exchange for a possible service.
What?
Okay, so it's an exchange. You didn't have to respond to that person's,
but what I mean is the process of doing the exercise. I don't find it's beneficial. I don't enjoy the process.
Yeah. Really great quote, and I forgot who the quote is attributed to, but somebody shared a picture on Twitter that it was, "I don't like writing. I like having written."
Totally agree with that. yeah, I can totally agree with that. There are times where I do enjoy the process of writing, but to be perfectly honest, it's the process before the actual writing.
The prep work.
The imagination running rampant and just spitballing ideas, and then sometimes finding how those
connect.
Yeah, they actually work together, but then trying to sit down and write. It's work.
It is, and especially, like for me, I've been struggling because I haven't really written like that in a long time. Like the most I've written has been like
you've been
that
doing
prep
really
work
good this
stuff.
month.
I wouldn't say really good.
Well, I mean, given a track record of how much you've been writing in like the last year.
True.
And then your ability to, at least every week, you're making progress.
It's frustrating because I know I'm capable of doing probably over 1,000 words in an hour. I know I'm capable of that.
The thing is, I don't want to do 1,000 words of crap I'm just going to throw out later. And so it's like a part of me, it's like if I get too focused on it has to be perfect, I'm never going to write anything. Period.
Well, yeah.
If it's all going to be crap, so just go ahead and write down what comes to mind and start getting things down, start getting a flow, then that also can like kill the excitement, because who wants to write crap?
Well, yeah.
Even if it's just for a rough draft and it's just to get the ball going, because the laws of motion, you know.
I would prefer to write crap and then fix it in editing, because I know for me the editing process helps stir me. Like sometimes even like editing other people's work just makes me go like ee hee hee hee. But usually I end up doing that with like when I watch a B movie. Then I'm like, I rewrite movies in my mind, and sometimes I even sit down and just rewrite it, because that's where the creative process comes from.
Done that with a lot of TV series. I'll start and it'll be like, oh, this is so great, and then at some point as the series progresses, I get really frustrated with it, so I stop watching it and I'll just rewrite it in my head how I think it should go.
Right.
I've done that way too much.
When I'm actually editing for another human being, I find it really, really difficult, because like, how do I tell this person that they have no voice, or
it's boring?
There's like if I don't have any direction of what kind of help they're looking for, and like how harsh, what kind of freedom I have to make suggestions, friends.
I find it so hard to critique somebody else's work. It's like I'm constantly looking for somebody to critique me, and I'll get frustrated when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'll read it for you," but then all they do is act as a cheerleader. They're not really
Right. Well, I mean, and like we have this problem when we critique one another. Sometimes
We're brutal.
We're brutal, but also the creative juice is like I'll read or you'll give me this little synopsis, and my mind's going in different directions, and then I give you suggestions. You're like, no, that doesn't work because da da da. I'm like, well, you didn't have this included.
You were
to help
supposed
guide
to
me.
read my mind and know. Okay.
So it's like now I'm like, but this new idea is so much better than what you
Other
had planned.
times when there's a there's supposed to be a plot twist, or I'm working on, like, I don't want the love interest to be obvious, but there is going to be a developing romantic interest, and it's a slow burn because it's not the main focus.
Right.
You'll guess it way sooner than I expect you to, and it has nothing to do necessarily with exactly what's written out. It's just
having a thought. I know.
You know my warped mind. And it's like, so other times, it's like you should know where I'm going with this. Although you did win on something. I decided the current project I'm working on.
I was right about the villain.
I had a plot twist idea for the villain that if the whole story was written as a parody, I think it would work. But because it's not a parody, I want there to be some humor, but it's not supposed to be a comedy, then you were right, I was wrong.
I win!
This has been recorded.
And it will be posted!
And it's going to
no
be
editing!
And that's how we're going to